Hey friends, welcome back to the channel. My name is Aparna and I'm an early retiree living her best life in Hawaii. On this channel, I make videos about investing, cryptocurrency, and software engineering. I break down these concepts into easy, bite-sized information so it doesn't seem as daunting as it looks on the surface. This week's video is a fun one. I'm answering questions from the community, family, and friends. And we are talking about the Hawaii life, what I miss or don't miss in the Bay Area, the meaning and purpose of life, and so on. The video will be broken down into timestamps and there will be chapters, so feel free to jump around and get to the question that interests you the most. And let's get right into it. The first question comes from Simran. She is curious about how the Hawaii life is. To give you guys a little backstory, the Hawaii plan wasn't in the cards for us. We had been thinking about just going and traveling the world for a year or two and see how that works. But then the world came down to a screeching halt. As we were thinking about our new next steps, we figured let's just move somewhere far away from the Bay Area. The Bay Area is a wonderful place to live and we've made the best memories, best friends, and had a really long, nice career that gave us the financial ability to make these moves. So no shade to the Bay Area, but we felt like we were ready to move on. Before making a big move, we just thought let's move somewhere for 6 months and see how it works. So within 2 days, we had movers and packers come pack everything that we owned in our apartment except for 4 suitcases, and we had them take everything away into a storage locker. We took these 4 suitcases, our 2 kids sat on a plane and moved to Maui. We didn't even have a lease signed and it was quite a journey to get to that apartment as well. But everything worked out fine. We moved into a beautiful condo and we decided to start living there for 6 months. A little bit around 4 months, we asked ourselves this question, are we done? Do we want to go back? And the answer was heck no. So we texted our landlord, we asked him, hey, we want to stay longer, and he was super happy having us as tenants. So he extended our 6-month lease to become a month-to-month lease, and we ended up staying there for about a year, and now we have purchased our own home right here on Maui. The reason we stayed this long was that we fell in love with the ocean and the nature and the way of raising kids. And more importantly, we found amazing people. I don't know if it's because we are in our honeymoon period or whatever, but everything here seems more free, open, people are happier. We don't talk a lot about stocks and bonds and managers and tech companies and venture capitalists. Most of our conversations here are about what the surf looks like or how we could just go out hiking in the forest and things like that. And that was a really refreshing change. So we decided to stick around and actually buy our home base here. So overall, the Hawaii life has treated us really well. We are very fortunate that most of our friends came to visit us and spend lots and lots of time. So we don't even miss that part of the Bay Area anymore. But getting into Sagar's question, what is it that you miss? One thing that you miss about the Bay Area is definitely the food. I miss going to all the South Indian restaurants, getting my favorite dosas, idlis. I'm definitely a South Indian foodie at heart. So that is one thing that I'm looking forward to, our trip to the Bay Area soon. I would be eating my heart out. So thank you for those 2 questions, Sagar and Simran. The next question comes from Ekta. Why did you go plant-based or vegan? Do you also encourage your kids to follow the same way of living? If yes, how? Okay, 10 years ago, I was watching some videos about animal cruelty and abuse, and I was not happy about it, but I didn't make any changes. I was like, there's no way I can quit dairy or anything like that. I've been vegetarian all my life, so I haven't really eaten meat ever, but I was a heavy dairy consumer. So I saw that, ignored that, moved on. But one time somebody told me, oh, your skin breaks out so much, maybe don't consume dairy during your period. And that made me think, oh, if it's not good during my period, why is it good for me in the normal days? And definitely went down that rabbit hole, researched a lot and learned that there's so much science that says that animal products aren't really good for health. So the real reason I started was health, but as I went along, as the time went along, I also watched more and more documentaries like Food Inc., Forks Over Knives, Fat, Sick and Nearly Dead, that also showed the ethical concerns against dairy and animal product consumption. Once I made the connection, I just realized that I didn't want to be a part of it. So every time I was buying a gallon of milk, I'm paying somebody to inflict some sort of cruelty on an animal. That's a vote that I'm making, and I didn't want to make it anymore. I was a little bit worried, just as anybody else could be going on a plant-based diet, if I'm gonna get weaker, or if, my health is gonna suffer. But the exact opposite of that happened. My skin cleared out. I am deadlifting about 150 pounds without even trying much. I have been the strongest that I ever was. I rode my bike from San Francisco to Los Angeles, and I've done many physical feats that I did not have to worry about where I get my protein from. I got enough muscle already without any dairy or animal products. So that's pretty much my decade-long vegan journey, my vegan story. And yes, our kids also eat vegan food. We very gently just introduced this concept to them that the cow's milk is for the baby calf, and that's why we do not want to take it away from them. And we got these wonderful variety of plant-based foods that we can eat and nourish our bodies and be happy and healthy. We have also spoken to the pediatricians, and they are a-okay. I've had 2 wonderful vegan pregnancies. My babies were really healthy. I had home births. My doctor literally told me that I was a poster child for having a home birth because my body was strong and healthy. So none of the usual concerns were really a problem, and that's how we are raising our kids and letting them know that this is how the world works really. And when they do grow up, when they have the knowledge and consent, they are independent individuals, autonomous individuals, and they are free to make the decisions that they want. But every parent has a certain way that they parent their kids, and this is a very important, close to heart topic for us. So we definitely encourage eating vegan foods. And if anytime my daughter has cupcakes or birthday parties, I'll always make sure that I bake the yummiest cupcakes. So many of my friends have said that the cakes that I've made, the vegan cakes, were the best ones they've eaten, vegan or not. So my daughter is super happy to eat the cupcakes that I make and never feels left out. And we'll always make sure that we carry vegan snacks, vegan pizza. It's so easy to be vegan these days. You have all sorts of alternatives. 90% of our diet is whole foods, plant-based, and sometimes we enjoy cookies and cakes and crackers just like anybody else. Yeah, that's how we maintain and continue our vegan lifestyle. Thank you for asking that question. It's so close to my heart. The next question again comes from Ekta. What do you feel about bringing new children into the current world scenario? Does it bother you that their future may be challenging? If it does, how do you have a positive inner dialogue on it? Girl, you ask the best questions, and I have obviously thought about it a lot. Before even having kids, I considered not having kids at all. But I felt like it's important to understand, one, your biological need. The answer, if I really asked my gut whether I wanted to have kids or not, was never a hell no. And if somebody decides that, great. I'm so glad that they can have that clear thinking and take that decision and decide to go child-free. My personal experience was that I adore kids. I loved them even when I was a child myself. Every child in the neighborhood would come to me and we would play for hours. The parents were so comfortable just sending their kids to our house, and we would play together. I would teach them, and I had the best time with them. If somebody had a baby in their house, I would be so excited to go to their house. I would keep asking my parents, hey, can we visit them because they have a baby and I get to play with the baby? So I always knew that there is this mother inside of me and I wanted to become one. But that being said, we also understand that having another human is more usage of resources and not great for the earth, in the sense that we are already a very populated planet. But there is another side to it, and I truly believe that if I did a decent job parenting them and raising good moral, I don't want to use the word good, I don't really like it, but just empathetic and moral children, I think I'll be doing better for the world instead of just taking the resources. Because really, why are we born and why do we live this life is the same reason that we have kids, because then we bring a little bit more life and then more life as we have grandkids. I really feel that if you have the conviction that you will be able to raise empathetic children, you should not think about the fact that this one child is one number and is going to eat these many pounds of food or use this much water, because they will be able to positively impact the earth and protect it with their efforts when they grow up. So I hope that made sense. That was like my thinking, and I truly stand behind it, not just because now I have the kids, but because even from the beginning, this was a confusing question for me. But once I thought about it this way, that if I am able to make positive impact and my kids are, it's worth having and bringing those children in the world. As far as the today's world scenario is concerned, if we actually look at the data, it has never been a better time to live. We do see a lot of negativity in media and social media sites, because that's what sells and those are the headlines that are created. But factually speaking, the way we have progressed with medicine, with technology, it has been the most comfortable, at least in slightly developed or fully developed countries, the most comfortable life that human beings can ever have. So I'm not very worried about safety or certain other things that we feel scared about in today's world, because I am very optimistic that the human race is actually going towards something better, and at this time we are living our best lives, most comfortable, safe lives. I hope that answers your question, Ekta, and thank you so much for asking that. Garima asks the next question. What is the purpose of life? How did you find yours? Again, another incredible question, because I pondered about it for ages and years, and then one day I was reading The 4-Hour Workweek. I know it's a weird, cheesy book to be getting life philosophy answers from, or maybe it's not, because he does talk about a lot of how to automate your life, but the basic principle is this life philosophy. What do you want to do with your life and how do you want to live it? So I did find the answer, and I agree personally, because when you keep asking yourself what is the purpose of life, I don't think you go anywhere. So in my opinion, this question is a waste of time, because you are already alive, and now why think about the purpose of life? Instead, let's think about how we can make the best of the life that we have today and be good people. In my life, I truly believe that all I want to do is not hurt anybody and help and empower as many people as possible. When I retired from my big career, one of the thoughts that was in my mind was, how can I become a better person? Let's set this as a goal. I had never done that before, really. When I went to my job, it was just go to work, come back and collect your paycheck and be as selfish as you possibly can. But after not doing that for a few weeks, few months, my mind had some bandwidth to think about these questions and just be happy with the fact that I exist and that all I want to do is have a real goal of becoming a better person. And then I started making decisions based on that, like doing volunteer work or helping a friend in need and not turning anybody down because I was so busy living my life. And it has truly changed the way I think and feel about this world and my life. So I know it's not a real answer to the question, because in the end I just think that this question has no answer. The best we can do is live a good life and help others while we're at it. My next question comes from Michelle. She asks, how does a woman feel empowered to manage and invest the family money if she makes less or no money at all? For example, a stay-at-home mom. What a wonderful question. And I feel like now I have spent enough time not working a job, so I have a little bit of empathy, but it's not the same thing as compared to a mom that was a stay-at-home mom all their lives and never worked a job. In my mind, I never even had to think about it. In our household, I'm the one who deals with all the finances, investing, creating short-term and long-term strategy, figuring out interest rates, mortgage rates, everything to do with finances. No matter how technical it is, I take the lead and go ahead and do it. I would definitely encourage you to have an open conversation with your spouse. In our case, both of us were really not doing anything with our money, and we were so busy working, going to work, coming back, that certain aspects of our finances were getting ignored. And one day I just looked at our bank accounts and I was like, something's not right, let me take charge. And my husband was like, sure, go ahead. And that was great. So in our household, it wasn't even a point of discussion who's gonna do it. The person who showed interest took the reins and did it, and it happened to be the woman. And at this time, I don't really make any money, but I make all our money decisions pretty much. But that being said, I feel like this is a conversation that the spouses should have together. It doesn't matter whether it's the woman or the man who's not earning, but the person who's the most interested in doing this is going to do the best for the household. That is so logical, and I empower all you women to think of it that way. If you think that numbers are interesting and figuring out different investment strategies is like, for me, it was like playing a game, because once I figured out all the investments, put it all on autopilot, then we are just reaching our financial independence goals. Once I learned what financial independence was, I had the energy to stop a train, because I just wanted to go full speed in that direction and invest and liquidate whatever we needed. So if you are interested, go on, do this, because this is not rocket science. In fact, investing, the simpler it is, the better results you're going to get, because there is no point looking at every stock or finding the best hedge funds, because so much data and science has already proven that a long-term fully diversified index fund strategy has beaten any hedge fund or individual stock picking activity. Pick up a couple of books. I highly recommend The Random Walk Down Wall Street and The Simple Path to Wealth. These two books, once you've read, you'll feel so confident and empowered that after reading, you go to your husband and you talk about it, they'd be like, oh dear, she knows what she's talking about. And if they are understanding enough, you guys can have a great conversation about it and take the lead, take the charge. You don't have to ask for permission just because you're the one making less dollars, because you're also working so hard on your household. If you were to get a house manager and a child caregiver, you would be looking at around $150,000 to $200,000 of expenses. So if you are a stay-at-home mom and you think that you are not making money, you are saving $200K a year at least. So what you save is what you're making. Maybe that's even more than your husband's pay. So let's not talk about money and relationships in terms of numbers. It's a team effort. It's an agreement. Marriage is not my way or the highway, obviously. So I hope that makes sense and it's empowering enough. And any of the men watching this, please be the allies and supporters, because once you empower this woman, she's gonna do amazing for the household finances. She's gonna make so much more money because she is the one interested. Especially if you are not. If both of you are interested, then become a united force in a team, because it's a lot of work. It took me about almost 2 to 3 years, start to finish, from learning and then executing slowly. We are still liquidating some of our individual stocks that I want to diversify. So it's a long process. So it doesn't matter who's making how much money. The woman could do it alone. The man could do it alone. You could do it together. It all depends on how you want to proceed and what your interests are. I know it was a little bit long-winded, but I hope that answers your question, Michelle. And thank you so much for asking that question. My next question comes from Natalie. You are so knowledgeable and so passionate about so many things. I'm blushing. Thank you, Natalie. How do you find the time to learn and be proficient at all these things while still balancing life? Great question. Again, you guys have asked me such amazing questions. I think it boils down to interest. It boils down to passion. Growing up, my brother really inspired me to read a lot of books. He was a really fast reader and I would always compete, and we read dozens of books every month. Most of them were like Nancy Drew or Hardy Boys, but still we got into reading. And then I continued this habit in college. But one day a friend of mine said, why do you read? We have to study so much in college, and why would you spend more time on reading? And I was like, oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense. And I did not read for the next 10-15 years. That kind of like deprived me from getting this awesome information that is out there in books. But then one day it all changed, because I read somewhere that said you are as good as the literature that you read, or something along those lines. And I was like, we're back at it, baby. We're gonna read books again. And I don't know, now it's just so easy to find good books that kind of interest you. I would just go on Amazon and find something that has massive reviews, high, and I would just go down the rabbit hole of, say, how to improve my brain, what do you eat, one book on that, how do you improve memory, one book on that, the power of the subconscious mind. So out of my comfort zone, but I read it anyway. And then I just felt so empowered with all this knowledge and information. It became like a game. So it was just a matter of getting interested and finding good books that were resonating with me. Anytime I would encounter a problem, I'd go down to what book can I read about it. So when I looked at my bank accounts and I was like, something's wrong with it, we need to be investing our money, I got the first book, amazing one, and then just went down the rabbit hole through podcasts and books and other blogs. Lots of books on Audible, so that's really helpful because anytime I'm like walking, running, or going to office or doing any chores, I'm listening to books. Small amounts every day added up to a 10-hour Audible book eventually, and then I just kept on going and finding these interesting books. So now anytime I speak with friends, I ask them what their favorite books are, and then it eventually goes down in that list, and then that just kept building up and up and up. Even when I watch YouTube, it's usually something educational. Maybe it came from my dad that you should be reading magazines that improve your knowledge and not waste your time. I think we should balance entertainment and knowledge, but I do skew towards knowledge more. So I'd be watching so much YouTube. So I learned about digital marketing and selling things online, and then I did courses. One course led to another course. So short answer to your question is snowball effect. I hope that was somewhat cohesive. My last question comes from Jax. If you had the power to correct one problem in the world, what would you fix and why? Wow, I think if I just get the first answer out of my brain, the subconscious brain just says, is really fixing this male-female wage gap. Why do males get paid more to do the same amount of work as females? The wage gap in America is somewhere around 30% difference. And in certain other countries, males could be making double the amount. And I just feel like that would be an incredible goal for me to achieve in this lifetime, and get women empowered so that they can take charge of their finances, their life, their independence. And that truly doesn't mean that women are any better than men. Like, I don't think feminism means that we are talking about one sex being better than the other. It's about as equitable as possible that we can get together, because truly today women are absolutely oppressed. I was appalled to learn that the first time a woman could apply for a credit card independently was in 1974. So men have like this thousands of years of advantage of privilege over women, which is completely unnecessary. Why would you oppress this section of the society that gives so much to the world, including more human beings? What is the logic? I don't get it. If there was an alien looking down on this planet, they'd think that we are crazy. These humans are crazy. What kind of society and systems have we created? None of this makes sense. And the same thing applies to me, like as a third person, not even considering myself as a woman. There is no logic in giving this one person less pay just because of their gender. So I truly feel that we can improve the society and the way resources are distributed if we just got that wage gap ended. Well, these are all the questions that I got from you guys, and I thank you again so much for sending these. This was a blast filming, and I hope you enjoyed listening just as much. If you'd like to learn more about crypto investing or building a career in software engineering, I'll have those two videos linked down below for you guys. And even if you have any more questions that I couldn't answer, please feel free to put them down in the comment box. As always, stay happy and healthy, and I'll see you next time. Bye.